Hey, hello, Happy New Year. I'm Chris Robin, aka at Detroit Beastie, here with Team Riser Fall to talk about Sunday Night Football. The Minnesota Vikings head to Lambeau to take on the Packers, in early January. I think this game's going to go exactly how we think it's going to go. But stick around. Let's dig in just a little deeper. See you in a sec. Hey, Happy New Year. I'm Chris Robin, aka at Detroit Beastie, here with Team Riser Fall to talk about Sunday Night Football. The Minnesota Vikings head to Lambeau to take on the Green Bay Packers in the beginning of January. This one's not going to end well. I think it's going to go exactly how we think it's going to go. But there are a couple gems to be plucked here, and as you can see, it's a new year. Not really a new me, just a new banner. We got some good stuff going on here at Team Riser Fall. I want to tell you, the last few months we've been talking about promo code this, promo code that, and most of it, I think you would get like 20-30% off, but use promo code 2022 for this month, and you're going to get 50% off your first month of premium services. That's like, it blows my mind. Look, a lot of other, premium websites with optimizers and all these highfalutin, members or people that write there, they're giving away their stuff, but at what cost? You know what I mean? When you stick at Team Riser Fall, you know what you're going to get. Literally, you're like family, and you're going to get one-on-one coaching too. As it stands now, I'm looking down at my notes because I had to make a list. It's so crazy. As the NFL season winds down here, people are going to transition to NBA DFS, and rightfully so. But when you use promo code 2022, you get full access to all the NBA DFS projections, and the NHL season is going to kind of kick back up. It's been a little bit stale. A bunch of teams dropped out. They're going to get rolling this week sometime. You're going to get NHL DFS cores from a bunch of folks, including me. And as the season progresses, we're going to get hotter and hotter here. I'm telling you this, and then I don't even want to talk about when the MLB comes back around. That's what we do best here. We've been put in a position here at Team Riser Fall, and people do certain things very well, right? And I'm not an NBA DFS guy at all anymore, but I do NHL really good. So boom, I'm here in a position, in a spotlight to give you my NHL cores along with DVA Nation, who is also a coach. So I relinquish all that NBA stuff to folks that know more than me, and there's nobody in the game that knows more about NBA DFS than Team Riser Fall. Make sure you use promo code 2022. Again, 50% off the first month. I mean, that's insane to me. So let's get to the matter at hand here, right? Minnesota travels to Green Bay to take on the Packers. And again, I've said it for a long time, right? As an NFC North slappy with the Lions and Minnesota, Green Bay, and Chicago, I'd like to think I know this division like the back of my hand here. And this is what Green Bay does. I mean, they're in the first overall seed here. They've absolutely just demolished everybody in the NFC North. They're going to win. They've already locked that down. So when Minnesota heads to Green Bay tonight, it's going to be tough sledding, and they're without their starting quarterback, Kirk Cousins, and that's a huge knock here. I believe Sean Merriman or something like that. I don't even know the kid's name. Is going to be starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings here. Before we get into the specific plays, I got a few numbers I want to run by you real quick. As it stands now, the over-under is at about 48.5 here. And again, this was probably this over-under was probably well before the Kirk Cousins news came out, and that opened last week. But as it stands right now, as you're watching this video, the over-under is at about 42.5. So you can see, people crap on Kirk Cousins. They poo-poo Kirk Cousins, but the over-under went down 6 points after he was put on the COVID IR. So that's saying something. I mean, Kirk Cousins, very respectable quarterback. But let's get into a couple quick betting trends. I promise I'm not going to keep you here all day. Still a little bit under the weather, but I know everybody loves Sunday Night Football, and I'd be a jerk if I didn't at least offer my opinion for 5 or 10 minutes on the game here. So when you look at Green Bay, they've lost 3 games so far this season, and one of them was to the Minnesota Vikings very early on in the season. But right now here, Packers, they average about 25.5 points a game, but Minnesota's no slouch. They're scoring an average of 25.6 points a game, but that was with a fully healthy Dalvin Cook, a fully healthy Kirk Cousins here. But look at this. Minnesota is giving up 24.8 points a game here. So you're looking at a situation here where it's like something's got to give, right? I mean, something weird is going to happen here, and it's going to be exactly how we think it's going to go. I hate to keep saying that, but Sunday Night Football in Lambeau Field, Green Bay, it is what it is. It's very cold weather, and right now a lot of folks are in seasonal formats, at least. And again, I'm just getting everything in my mind out to you here, but a lot of folks in seasonal formats they're bumming out. But what do I do about Justin Jefferson? Right, he's a stud wide receiver, probably the dynasty wide receiver number one. Right, I'm sure you're nodding your head right now because you agree. So what kind of what happens with Justin Jefferson now that the Sean kid is the quarterback? Let me get his name right. I feel bad. It's Sean Mannion. Excuse me, Sean, if you're watching. I apologize here. But what kind of kinks will that send through the Minnesota Vikings offense with Sean Mannion at quarterback here? And again, I would like to think that Kirk Cousins is a stud quarterback. Let's just call it what it is. He's had an awesome touchdown to interception ratio so far this season. So you'd be silly. You'd be fooling yourself if you thought that Sean Mannion would be it's no issue. It's a massive step down here. But a kid like Justin Jefferson, the talent will always win out. So in seasonal formats, no issue starting him. But Chris, what about tonight in DFS formats? Well, I have no issue with it. Let's talk about it, shall we? Let's start with the quarterbacks per usual. Aaron Rodgers, stud. What are we doing here? 17 grand on FanDuel, and on DraftKings, Aaron Rodgers is $11,200 here. The Minnesota Vikings, 23rd overall against opposing quarterbacks. Does anybody on earth think that Aaron Rodgers isn't going to throw for 280 yards and 3 touchdown passes? It's set in stone. It's what Green Bay does this time of the season, just steamrolling everybody on their way to the playoffs. One thing I will say, though, and it might be send shivers down your spine if you're an NFC fan, if you have a fan of the NFC teams, if you want to make it to the Super Bowl, everything is going to go through Green Bay, which is, you get a coat, get a gloves, because it's going to get nasty here. And let's look at Sean Mannion real quick. 5 grand on FanDuel, only 6 grand on DraftKings. He's the bare minimum on both sites, but for what reason would you even bother here? Green Bay, 24th overall against opposing quarterbacks. And look, at the price tag, you're getting starting quarterback kind of snaps and starting quarterback numbers for only 5 grand and 6 grand on DraftKings. Again, if you're like me, I use single game slates as like a lottery ticket, right? I rarely play cash games. So in a GPP, Sean Mannion is very much in play. I'm not going to tell you yes. I'm not going to tell you no, because you can, build how you want here. But just temper your expectations with Sean Mannion. It's not Kirk Cousins. We're not looking at 300 yards and multiple touchdowns. But if it happens, better safe than sorry if you have at least 1 or 2 lineups entered with Sean Mannion at quarterback. Let's talk about the running backs. That's where it's all at, except for Devontae Adams. But Dalvin Cook looks to be healthy and rolling, at least for this game here. Dalvin Cook is going to be the centerpiece, right, for Minnesota here with the less than stellar quarterback. You're just going to want to give the ball to Dalvin Cook 25 plus times. A little high, but you get what I'm saying here. Dalvin Cook, 14 grand on FanDuel, and on DraftKings, Dalvin Cook, $10,400 here. Does it even matter what the DVP is, or does it matter what the on-field snap percentages are? It's Dalvin Cook in Green Bay in the beginning of January. It's magical. And just wait till I get to Aaron Jones, because it's the same thing here. So Dalvin Cook, unbelievably good play per usual. He could be playing against a brick wall, right? And I would still start Dalvin Cook. The kid's a stud. He's good. He's a bulldozer here. Let's talk about like Alexander Mattinson here. I don't see too much room for him here. And even if you did, his price tag is through the roof. He's 12 grand on FanDuel, and on DraftKings, he's $5,000. Do you see the drastic nature here? So on FanDuel, Mattinson is a major fade, but on DraftKings, I could see a case here to be made for Mattinson in relief here and there of Dalvin Cook. However, I see a case here where Dalvin Cook receives 99.9% of the snaps here, and Alexander Mattinson seems 4 or 5 carries in this one, boom, and that's it. Let's talk about the Green Bay running backs briefly. Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon, you gotta love it. Again, I'm a Lions fan, but the way I'm talking talking about the Packers right now, you would think I'm a big Packers guy. But there's something about Lambeau Field at this time of the year, even in the playoffs, wild card games, NFC Championship games. It's just that stadium is magical this time of year. It's 35 below, and you got crazy fans with their shirts off, drinking cold beer. It's just, they've been born and raised that way, and I respect that. I respect the heck out of that. And I can't say I'd go to a Lions game if it was outdoors, because it's just as cold here in Detroit as Green Bay. Actually, no, Green Bay's like 3 times as cold in the wintertime than here in Detroit. But you know what you're getting out of Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. I said it last week. I'll say it again here. Aaron Jones is the lead back, $12,500 on FanDuel. On DraftKings, Aaron Jones, $9,000. And A.J. Dillon here, let me double check his price for you here. A.J. Dillon, $10,500 on FanDuel. And then on DraftKings, A.J. Dillon, only $5,200. And look, the Minnesota Vikings, their defense is okay, but against running backs and wide receivers, it's bad news. They're 23rd overall against opposing running backs here. And look, as I was getting to, but I got away from myself here, as I've said the last few weeks here, the Green Bay Packers have big-time Super Bowl aspirations here. So in a game against Minnesota that they don't really need, right? The NFC is locked up. I think, the first overall seed is within grasp here. But I would imagine that they get to a point in this game where it's the A.J. Dillon show. Aaron Jones does what they ask of him, scores a touchdown, maybe 2, and then bam, in the second half, it's all A.J. Dillon. So tonight, in your lines, I have no issue rostering both Green Bay Packers running backs here. When we talk about the wide receivers, I said running back was juicy, but wide receiver to a certain extent is juicy given the Minnesota's propensity to not guard wide receivers. They're 32nd overall against opposing wide receivers, and if you last I looked, there's only 32 teams in the NFL, so they are dead last against opposing wide receivers. Devontae Adams should I waste your time? It's a smash spot. You got to get him in. MVP or flex, one of the two. I will have several lines with both. He's probably my favorite MVP candidate tonight, given the DVP matchup, given Aaron Rodgers' love for him. So Devontae Adams, and he's worth every penny. $14,500 on FanDuel, and on DraftKings, Adam is $11,000. Easy peasy, right? Worth every penny, as I said. As we go down the list, MVS or Allen Lazard or even Amon-Ra St. Brown's bigger brother, I don't even know how to pronounce his first, Equiminus, so I'll leave it at that. These guys are all in play, right? MVS 6'4" on DraftKings. On FanDuel, MVS is $8,000. Allen Lazard $10,000 on FanDuel, kind of a little bit expensive for me. On DraftKings, Lazard only $7,000. When we pivot to the Minnesota Vikings side of things in terms of a wide receiver, the number one question: do we bother with Justin Jefferson? And I find that to be it's strange, right? First of all, in seasonal formats, we'll put that aside. This is a DFS video. It's a single game, one and done kind of thing. Justin Jefferson, if he's active on the field, I don't care if they were playing on the moon, Justin Jefferson is in play. $13,500 on FanDuel. On DraftKings, he's $10,800. Green Bay, they've been okay with the limited help in the secondary. They've had some players, I believe one of their stud linebackers in Jair Alexander, have missed a couple games here, but they're still 9th overall against opposing wide receivers here. KJ Osborne, he deserves a look in a game here where Minnesota might be behind early, might be chasing all game here. So KJ Osborne, very much in play. $8,500 on FanDuel. On DraftKings, KJ, $7,800 here. Now, the one you want to look at is Adam Thielen, but from everything I'm seeing, he's out, inactive. I see a big red O next to his name in what I'm doing here. That's unfortunate. So again, Justin Jefferson, KJ Osborne, that's the play. When we talk about tight ends here, not too much to talk about. I believe Tyler Conklin has been hurting. He's been down in the dumps a little bit, questionable, but everything I've read so far to today, Tyler Conklin is going to give it a go, and you love to see that kind of thing, because I'm telling you, Minnesota is Minnesota. They're a professional football team, but they know about the magic of Lambeau Field this time of the season. So Tyler Conklin, he probably won't miss this game for the world. $7,000 on FanDuel. On DraftKings, Conklin $5,600. Chris Herndon is in there, nothing crazy, salary relief relief, if you want to call it that. That's kind of like the dump play, right? If you want only $2,400 on DraftKings. And then the Green Bay Packers side of things, Hosea Degura or Mercedes Lewis. Yeah, it's Mercedes, not Mercedes. M-A-R. Get it right here. Hosea Degura, $3,000 on DraftKings. Mercedes Lewis, only $800 on DraftKings. And on FanDuel, Hosea, $7,000, and Mercedes Lewis, $6,500. Of the two, I would prefer Degura. You know, with all the ripping and running Green Bay does, Aaron Rodgers does like to take shots in the red zone or in a goal-to-go situation with his tight ends. Usually only once a series here because it's all about Devontae Adams. But I could see a case where Degura catches a touchdown or Lewis catches a touchdown. If you remember, way back, I went out on a limb in a video with Mercedes Lewis. I think he's going to score a touchdown. I caught some heat, and if you remember correctly, he caught a beautifully timed pass, but his tippy toe was just out of bounds here. So I'm looking to be refurbished here. I'm looking for some vengeance here. So Mercedes Lewis, I'm going to use him. If you want to, that's up to you. When we talk about kickers and DSTs, the only real defensive unit that's in play is the Green Bay Packers here this evening because of a first-time start in Sean Mannion here. Packers, $4,000 on DraftKings. I believe it worth every penny. You know, some slates, they warrant kickers. Some slates warrant DSTs, and sometimes they don't. In this slate today, I'm telling you, you're going to want a little piece of the Green Bay Packers, whether it's an MVP spot, captain spot, or just a plain old flex play. I take that because, again, I hate to keep harping on it, but I'm telling you, just sit back this evening and watch this game. Even if you're in the West Coast, you're in sun, palm trees, even in Florida. Sit back and watch this game. Green Bay, this time of the year with the fans and how good the Packers team actually is. It's going to be special. It's going to be amazing. I wouldn't be shocked to see some sort of defensive touchdown from Green Bay because that's just how it is. They're going to get rolling, and then in the third and fourth quarter, Zimmer and the Minnesota Vikings are going to have to take chances, and I'm telling you now, Green Bay is going to bury them. So my final score prediction, Green Bay hangs 31 points. I think, Minnesota, they'd be lucky to score, 14 points. I think 17 points for Minnesota is the max I'm willing to kind of dole out here. So I appreciate you for being here. Kind of off the cuff thing. I didn't really do notes. I've been under the weather the last few days. So I'm just a lot of it by memory, and a lot of it on a separate computer screen here. But thanks for hanging with me. It's a lot of, fun and just opinions. I mean, this is who I am. I just like to chat and be with you and talk about DFS. It's my number one hobby, and I love to do it. So before you split, I'm telling you, make sure you use promo code 2022. You're going to get 50% off your first month of services. NBA DFS projections. You're going to get one-on-one coaching. I mean, that's not set in stone. I mean, it's not anything we kind of promote here, but you can always DM me. I'm sure you can always DM Mitch or CG, any of these guys, Dab and Puggo. They're just awesome, sharp DFS minds. So this is where you're going to want to be as hockey starts to pick up the pace, and we're going to see NFL kind of taper off into the playoffs. And I know a lot of folks, when it's playoff football, they kind of fade the DFS because it's too tough. There's a couple teams and still a million people playing DFS. So come here to Team Riser Fall 2022 promo code, and you can get all in NBA DFS and NHL DFS. Until we meet again, Monday Night Football. I'll talk to you then. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and Happy New Year. I'll see you soon.